The story of the Roma people is one of resilience, shaped through centuries of persecution. Their arrival in Europe during the Middle Ages marked the beginning of a relentless struggle against systemic discrimination and violence. Often seen as outsiders, the Roma became scapegoats in societies unwilling to understand their distinct culture and identity. By the 15th century, the Roma were labelled as vagabonds and criminals in various European laws. The state sought to assimilate or expel them. Spain, under the Catholic monarchy, issued numerous decrees demanding their either forced assimilation or exile. Non-compliance often resulted in imprisonment or death. Similar patterns emerged across the continent. By the 16th century, in the Holy Roman Empire, Roma were hunted, their punishment treated as a spectacle. One of the darkest chapters in this history unfolded during World War II. Under Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime, approximately 500,000 Roma were murdered in what the Romani community calls the parajmos, or the devouring. Dehumanized and classified as an inferior race, Roma families were stripped of their rights and sent to concentration camps such as Auschwitz-Birkenau. This is often overlooked in broader narratives of the Holocaust, yet it echoes as a haunting reminder of the cruelty rooted in hatred. The persecution did not end with the war. Across communist Eastern Europe, measures like forced settlement, sterilization, and banning the Romani language further stripped communities of their identity. Even in Western Europe, Roma faced restrictions on travel, policing, and access to basic services. Today, the Roma communities confront systemic discrimination in education, housing, and employment, sometimes denied even the most basic human rights. Stereotypes perpetuated by media and society contribute to their marginalized status. Their story stands as a powerful testament to the enduring consequences of unchecked prejudice and the unyielding strength of human survival. The term gypsy originated from a misunderstanding that has shaped perceptions of the Romani people for centuries. When the Roma first arrived in Europe in the 14th and 15th centuries, locals erroneously believed they came from Egypt. This assumption led to the name gypsies, derived from Egyptians. However, historical and linguistic evidence shows that their roots are far removed from Africa, tracing back to northern India. The misnomer not only obscured their true origins, but also contributed to centuries of stereotypes that still haunt their identity today. The confusion surrounding their identity was not accidental. It reflected the pervasive ignorance and prejudice of societies at the time. For centuries, gypsy has carried pejorative connotations, used to stereotype Roma as nomadic, untrustworthy, or exotic others. This label fails to acknowledge their complex history, rich culture, and diverse contributions to the societies in which they live. The roots of the Romani people extend deeply into the Indian subcontinent, where their ancestors likely originated from the regions of Rajasthan, Punjab, and Sindh over 1,500 years ago. This migration was likely shaped by a series of socio-political and economic factors that remain subjects of ongoing research. Scholars speculate that warfare, economic instability, or caste-based restrictions in India may have driven groups of skilled artisans, entertainers, and warriors to leave their homeland in search of better opportunities. The upheavals of the early medieval period, including the decline of certain royal courts and trade disruptions, may have added further impetus to this exodus. Historical accounts tie their migration to a spread into Persia, where they encountered and adapted to local cultural influences. During their time in the Persian Empire, they were likely employed in professions such as blacksmithing, animal trading, and artisan crafts, skills that became hallmarks of their identity. The Romani absorbed elements of Persian artistry and language, incorporating borrowed words into their dialect while maintaining the core structure of their Indo-Aryan tongue. Linguistically, their language has retained connections to Sanskrit, while integrating terms from Persian, Greek, and other languages they encountered during subsequent migrations. By the time their itinerant groups reached the Byzantine Empire, their way of life had evolved into a nomadic blend of exchange and adaptability. Here they worked as musicians, metalworkers, and fortune tellers, a legacy that persists in the perception of their identity today. However, life in Byzantine territories was not without conflict. Local populations frequently mistrusted the Roma's migratory lifestyle, marking the beginnings of prejudice that would follow them into Europe. Genetic studies underline this historical trajectory, revealing strong South Asian ancestry within their Y chromosomes and mitochondrial DNA that gradually intermingled with Middle Eastern and European genes. Markers of this genetic intermixing coincide with the path of their westward movement, particularly through the Caucasus. Upon arriving in the Balkans in the 12th century, the Roma faced a mixed reception. Enslavement became a grim reality in countries like Romania, where they were forced into servitude for centuries. Nevertheless, they contributed greatly to the local cultures, influencing music, trade, and craft traditions. One of the defining features of Roma migration is their cultural adaptability, allowing them to enrich the societies they entered while preserving the essence of their heritage. By the 15th century, Roma groups had spread widely across Europe, arriving in Western countries like Spain, France, and Germany. During the Age of Exploration in the 15th and 16th centuries, as European powers ventured into the Americas and began their colonization efforts, the Roma diaspora expanded beyond Europe. Some Roma were forcibly deported from their home regions and sent to South America as part of punitive measures or colonization strategies. The 19th and 20th centuries saw many Roma families move to the United States, driven by a combination of economic opportunity and the hope of escaping the institutional discrimination prevalent in Europe. One of the most significant findings in Romani genetic studies lies within Y-chromosomal haplogroups, which are inherited through the paternal line. Among Romani males, H1AM82 stands out as a predominant marker, tying them directly to populations in India, particularly in the regions of northwest India, such as Rajasthan and Punjab. This haplogroup is rare in the broad European gene pool, but provides an unbroken genetic link to the Romani people's ancestral homeland. Beyond H1AM82, other Y-chromosomal haplogroups, such as R1A and J2, also appear in Romani populations, further illustrating their complex migratory patterns. Haplogroup R1A, common in both South Asia and Eastern Europe, reflects a blend of their South Asian roots and interactions with populations in Europe. Meanwhile, haplogroup J2, associated with the Middle East, highlights the genetic legacy of their time spent in regions like Persia, where they lived and traded before they moved westward. Mitochondrial DNA, passed exclusively through the maternal line, further enriches the narrative of Romani ancestry. Early studies have confirmed that Romani mtDNA lineages initially carried distinctly Indian markers. Haplogroups such as M5 and M35, widely found in South Asian populations, serve as evidence of their Indian origins. However, as the Romani migrated through the Middle East and Europe, they began to intermix with local populations, leading to the incorporation of new mtDNA haplogroups. For example, U3, a haplogroup prevalent in the Middle East, suggests genetic blending during their time in Persia and neighbouring regions. Similarly, haplogroup H, one of the most common maternal lineages in Europe, reveals their adaptation to Western host populations through intermarriage. These genetic traces of intermingling vary significantly across Romani populations depending on where different communities settled. For instance, Roma in the Balkans exhibit mitochondrial haplogroups that indicate a strong influence from southeastern Europe, while Roma in Spain show genetic contributions from Western Europe. This diversity is further mirrored in Y-chromosomal markers. Haplogroups like R1b, common across Western Europe, are found in Romani populations from Iberia, indicating a clear genetic imprint left over centuries of European settlement. The genetic blending observed among the Romani explains the diversity in physical traits and cultural adaptations across their diaspora. While Roma in Central or Eastern Europe may carry influences from Slavic populations, those in Southern Europe reflect Mediterranean ancestry. As mentioned earlier, the Roma language, known as Romani, is one of the most fascinating aspects of the Roma people's cultural heritage. The uniqueness of Romani lies in its evolution as the Roma migrated westward, crossing vast territories and interacting with diverse cultures and languages. Unlike many languages that evolved within a relatively stable homeland, Romani adapted in real time to the environments the Roma encountered during their migration. By the time the Roma reached the Byzantine Empire in the early Middle Ages, their language had already been influenced by Persian and Middle Eastern tongues encountered along the way. Later interactions with Slavic-speaking populations in the Balkans, as well as Germanic and Romance languages in Western Europe, left further marks on Romani. This evolution resulted in a language that retains its Indo-Aryan roots, yet incorporates loanwords and influences from dozens of other languages. For example, many Romani dialects have borrowed words for modern concepts from the dominant language of the region in which the speakers reside, such as verdon, wagon or cart, borrowed from Old Persian, or cambrela, umbrella, derived from French. Romani spirituality is as rich and multifaceted as their storied migration across continents. Tracing back to their origins in India, the Romani people's ancestors were likely practitioners of Hinduism. Hindu beliefs in karma, the cycle of life and rebirth, and reverence for ancestors formed a foundational spiritual framework for their community. When the Romani began their westward migration over 1,000 years ago, this spiritual foundation evolved as they encountered and adopted aspects of the dominant religions in the regions they traversed. Today, Romani spirituality reflects a remarkable blend of faiths, encompassing elements of Hinduism, Christianity, and folk traditions, making it as diverse as the Roma themselves. One of the most enduring aspects of Romani folk spirituality is ancestor worship. The Roma hold a profound respect for their ancestors, believing them to wield significant influence over the living. Rituals and offerings to honor and appease the spirits of the deceased are common, reflecting their belief in a strong, ongoing spiritual connection between generations. Divination is another hallmark of Romani spirituality, often misunderstood or misrepresented by outsiders. Originally stemming from their ancestral belief systems, practices like reading tarot cards, palmistry, or other forms of fortune-telling are seen as ways to tap into spiritual insight and guidance. Fortune-telling, long associated with the Romani in popular culture, is a deeply rooted tradition emerging from their belief in the supernatural and the ability to interpret omens. Another intriguing aspect of Romani spirituality is their complex relationship with spirits and curses. Many Roma believe in unseen forces that can bless or harm individuals. Perhaps no other facet of Romani culture has had such a wide-reaching impact as their music. The Roma have enriched musical traditions wherever they have traveled, blending their own styles with local influences to create unique and vibrant sounds. A prime example of this is flamenco, a quintessential Spanish art form deeply rooted in Romani traditions. The passionate rhythms, soulful melodies, and intricate guitar techniques of flamenco owe much to the Roma who helped shape this iconic genre in Andalusia. Hungarian folk music is another area where the Roma's influence is undeniable. Romani musicians have traditionally been central figures in Hungarian villages, bringing their virtuosity and emotive playing style to performances of folk songs. Similarly, Russian Romani songs, known for their sorrowful melodies and heartfelt lyrics, have gained recognition across Russia as staples of traditional Russian music. These songs often echo themes of love, exile, and longing, reflecting the Roma's historical experiences. One of the most groundbreaking contributions of Romani culture to modern music is gypsy jazz, pioneered by the legendary Django Reinhardt. Born into a Romani family in Belgium, Reinhardt overcame significant obstacles, including a debilitating injury to his hand, to redefine jazz guitar. His innovative style, characterized by dazzling solos and rhythmic sophistication, became the foundation of a musical genre that remains beloved to this day. The artistry of the Roma extends far beyond music. They are renowned for their skill in metalworking, an ancient craft that has been passed down through generations. Historically, Roma blacksmiths excelled in creating tools, decorative ironwork, and horse equipment. This expertise in metalwork was integral to their livelihoods during their nomadic lifestyle, as they provided valuable goods and services to local communities. Horse trading was another area where the Roma gained a reputation for their expertise. Known for their deep understanding of horses, Roma traders were valued for their ability to breed, train, and assess the quality of these animals. This skill not only served as a means of economic survival, but also became a part of their cultural identity. Roma craftsmanship is also evident in their textile designs, jewellery, and pottery. Their textiles, often characterized by bold colors and intricate patterns, reflect their nomadic heritage and ties to nature. Romani jewellery, intricately designed with beads, metals, and gemstones, serves both as adornment and as a means of preserving wealth. Similarly, their pottery demonstrates remarkable creativity and functionality, with designs that blend aesthetic appeal with practical utility. Though his Romani heritage was not widely acknowledged during his lifetime, Charlie Chaplin, the king of silent film, often hinted at his roots. Born into a family with possible Romani lineage, Chaplin incorporated themes of marginalization and resilience in his work. His iconic character, the Tramp, resonated with audiences worldwide, symbolizing the struggles of an outsider navigating an often unkind world. Chaplin's genius for blending humor with poignant social commentary earned him a lasting legacy as one of cinema's greatest pioneers. Coming back to the traditional dress of the Roma people, It is a vivid reflection of their rich cultural identity and nomadic history. Known for its vibrant colours, intricate patterns and decorative elements, their attire is as diverse as the Roma community itself, which spans many regions and has adapted to various cultural influences over centuries. For women, traditional Roma clothing is often strikingly colourful, with layered skirts or dresses being a central component. These skirts are typically long and flowing, decorated with bright patterns, floral motifs, or embroidered designs. Women often accessorize with scarves, shawls, or headpieces, adding layers of meaning and beauty. The use of gold or ornate designs in their accessories often serves as a nod to their love for craftsmanship and detail. Regional variations in Roma clothing are noteworthy. For instance, in Eastern Europe, fabrics may feature more embroidery and folk-inspired designs, while in Western Europe, Roma attire may incorporate more contemporary influences. However, the essence of their clothing remains consistent, radiating individuality, pride, and adaptability. Romani people are a symbol of surviving with grace and enriching the world in the process, proving that even in the face of hardship, creativity and identity can flourish. The legacy of the Romani people is not only enduring, it is a celebration of life and the power of cultural heritage to transform and inspire.